Hi, I'm Jeff Brazil with the University of Arkansas. In this recorded information session, you will hear Dr. Patty Milner of Global Campus, the Assistant Vice Provost for Innovation and the Online Student Experience, speak about the SHRM learning system for the SHRM-CP and the SHRM-SCP. Great stuff. And remember, go Hogs!
Welcome, everyone. We're excited to be able to talk to you today about our upcoming SHRM Learning System course that's offered through the University of Arkansas Professional Workforce Development Department. So, first of all, U of A Professional Workforce Development is a division of the University of Arkansas, and we provide non-credit professional development, workforce training, and continuing education and personal enrichment to folks in Northwest Arkansas and around the world. So we do this in a variety of areas, including through our partnership with SHRM. So today we're going to start with talking about why SHRM certification might be a good choice for you. We're going to talk a little bit about the different SHRM certifications so that you're able to figure out which one might be the right one for you. We're going to discuss the value of an instructor-led course and why you might choose that, some information on investing in your HR career, and then we'll share the specific U of A course options. So what's the value of SHRM certification? Well, there's a number of important things that SHRM certification can bring to your career. First of all, it's a signal. It demonstrates to your current employer or future employers that you have the current and relevant skills and competencies. And because the SHRM certification requires an exam, you have to demonstrate those competencies. So an employer can feel confident when considering you for hiring or promotion that you have the skills necessary to be effective in the role. It also provides us with a universal standard so that HR standards of what it means to be an effective professional can be normalized across different industries, across different regions and areas. It really provides a central set of competencies so that employees and employers can trust that their employees are getting a similar experience across in their institution or in their company to what people in similar fields would be getting, so that we know that those standards are met. It also provides employers with a level of confidence that what is going to be happening in their HR department is going to be current in terms of regulations, in terms of best practices, and that it's really going to be grounded in research and how we best support employees in having successful and productive careers. It also delivers you the opportunity to learn really practical skills. So SHRM certification is not just about ideas and concepts. It's really about practical application. So how do these ideas and concepts that might exist in regulation or in theories about how we help someone develop their career, how does that actually play out on the day-to-day in an HR career? And this allows the content of the SHRM course to really impact what you're doing in your job right away so that you go to class and then the next day you have new skills that you could learn, that you could use in your role. And then because, like I said, the SHRM process involves that certification exam, it really validates your proficiency and skills. So it separates you from folks who have not gone through that process, have not had their skills validated, and really allows you to stand as an authority in your practice in HR. The SHRM certifications that are offered that we'll discuss today are the SHRM-CP, so the SHRM Certified Professional, and the SHRM-SCP, or the SHRM Senior Certified Professional. The SHRM program is the first ever behavioral competency-based certification for HR professionals. So let's break down that phrase. So what does that mean? Behavioral means it's not just based on concepts and ideas, it's based on actual behaviors that we want to learn through skills development and practice. And then competency-based means that we're looking at specific areas of focus and competency, and we're judging people's proficiency in those specific areas. So it's not just like, are you a good HR professional? It's, do you have these specific competencies in all of these different areas? And we're going to talk about the different areas in just a minute. There are more than 100,000 people who are currently certified in SHRM across the world. So in the United States and then in other countries around the world, folks actively seek out SHRM certification as a way to grow their career in HR. The SHRM model is to really focus on relevant real-world situations. So you encounter a lot of case studies, you encounter in the exam, you encounter situation-based questions, because it's really about how do you practice as an effective HR professional on the day-to-day. It's very employer-focused, so the process by which SHRM looks at and reviews its proficiency standards is regularly engaged in industry. And so the last time that happened, where it was completely revised, was in 2023. And so it's an area in which there is lots and lots of industry engagement. They're gathering information and then revising what they do and what the content of the SHRM courses will cover. And it is the only HR certification that's backed by SHRM, which obviously SHRM Society of Human Resource Management offers a wide variety of other things besides this certification. There are state and regional groups of professionals, there's conferences, there's other kinds of information and standard setting, all of those kinds of things that SHRM does. And so these are the only certificates that are backed by the SHRM entity. So why does the U of A choose to partner with SHRM? Because it's not that they're the only model that exists, right? We choose to partner with SHRM. Why do we do that? Well, first of all, because it is backed by the largest human resource professional organization in the world. So that tells us that it's actively engaged with folks in industry because its members are practicing human resource professionals. So that really speaks to the sustainability of the relationship for the U of A, but also the sustainability of the training in your professional career. It's accredited. It's a competency-based curriculum and exam, which we really appreciate in this field because most folks who are going to take SHRM certification are already working in some way in the HR field. So you already have some competencies. We want to be able to recognize that and then build on the ones that the areas in which you still need development. And then the exam part really, like we said earlier, provides that validity so that we know that when someone has finished the course and they pass the exam, we know that they have gained the skills that are necessary. It's really focused on business and advancing the HR profession. So pushing all HR professionals forward. That's also part of the renewal requirement for SHRM certification. Every 3 years, you have to renew that certificate. You have to have additional training hours. So that focus and push that they have for continual improvement is really important to us. The certification is globally accepted. There are companies all over the world that use SHRM certification, and it's actively sought out by employers. SHRM student success. Most hiring profile managers list SHRM certification as a preferred qualification for their HR hires. And so that was based on a 2022 SHRM HR career study. And then we also see that the certification rates tell us, and the pass rates tell us, that not everyone passes. And that's actually a good thing, because what it tells us is that the exams really assess skills and proficiency. And that means that not everybody who sits for the test is ready to work at that level. Maybe they need more study or more guidance. And so we actually like to see that those pass rates are not 100%, because it means that the exam is doing its job. It's really providing you with that separation between folks who have the skills and proficiencies and folks who are still developing their skills and proficiencies. So the body of SHRM knowledge that is covered in this course follows the SHRM-BASC system of knowledge. And this is the system that they developed and have refined with each of their iterations. And so this is, this covers, as you can see, a wide variety of competencies. So it has these competencies that define knowledge, strategies, and skills that are required for a global HR professional. Those include things like communication and relationship management, but also more technical skills like business acumen and analytical aptitude. So it really covers a wide variety of proficiencies that, like I said, have been reviewed by industry-leading professionals and are regularly reviewed to ensure that they're in line with what employers are looking for. So we'll break this down just a little bit between what they consider to be technical competencies and behavioral competencies, because success comes not only from what you know, but also from what you do. So on the technical side, we're looking at knowledge that's specific to the profession to perform the role. And this includes things like talent acquisition. How do we recruit good talent? How do we engage and retain that talent? Also, how do we manage risk? What are the laws and regulations that need to be adhered to? How do we engage in corporate social responsibility, the role of the employer back to society? And then organizational structure. So things like employee and labor relations, organizational development, workforce management, which is really looking at what are the future needs of this employer and how are we preparing our company to meet those needs and make sure we have the right people in place, as well as things like technology management. So as you can see in these three different groupings, we really cover a lot of different kinds of technical competencies in the SHRM experience. And then we also look at behavioral competencies, what we do. So now we know all those things, but how do we actually bring them about? What are the behaviors and the ways that we apply that technical knowledge? And that's really where we focus on things like communication and ethical practice, as well as leadership navigation and analytical aptitude. How can you take what's there and really apply it in a way that helps forecast and understand what the future might look like? So it's really a combination of both of those things that are covered in the SHRM system and that are covered in the SHRM exam process. So what kinds of people should sit and take this course and take this exam? Well, obviously, HR professionals are the most common places where we see that, but also business owners who maybe do not have a separate HR department or just really want to be able to engage with their HR department in a meaningful way to really understand what their role is and what they need to be doing. Sometimes someone might choose to, even if they have an HR department, that they want to have that knowledge for themselves as well so that they can really triangulate what's happening. Managers and supervisors of large teams. So maybe they don't have a formal HR role, but they are doing a lot of HR related work, particularly when we think about some of the interpersonal application but also if they're doing a lot of hiring on their team, if they're working in labor, if they have a labor relations situation in their institution, then those things might be areas that would push someone to seek out additional HR certification, even though they are not a HR professional specifically. And then, of course, students who are interested in a career in HR. And at the U of A, we do have students who participate in SHRM who are studying for HR careers, as well as individuals who are already in those HR careers. There are some specific requirements to sit for the exam. Those were last reviewed in 2022. So the first thing is that if you're going to sit for the exam, you should be either performing general HR duties in your current role, or you're pursuing a career in which you are going to perform those duties. And that's because a lot of the learning is very practical. And if you don't have some practical experience, you don't have as much to apply that to. And so really that's where your focus should be. You're not required to hold an HR title to be to have SHRM certification or to sit for the exam. And you do not need a previous degree or previous HR experience. Like I said, you could be pursuing a career or a degree in HR as well. But it is really helpful to have a basic working knowledge of HR practices and principles, because that's going to help you be more successful in learning this content. For the senior certified professional, that person does need to have at least 3 years of documented experience performing strategic level HR duties. So strategic level HR duties are things like planning for workforce, working with collective bargaining units, working in employee retention initiatives, those kinds of things that are beyond kind of the day-to-day work of many HR professionals, but are really asking you to think broader about the longer term outputs of the HR profession. And then you need to have had your SHRM-CP for at least 3 years, and either be working in or planning to transition to a strategic role. But you are not required to hold an official HR title, and you do not need a degree to apply to the SHRM-SCP program. You just need that 3 years with the CP, as well as work related to performing those kinds of duties. So which one is right for you? Well, the SHRM-CP is designed to assess the competency levels in HR work at the operational level. And so that work includes implementing HR policies, supporting day-to-day HR functions, things like benefits management, hiring, regular review of employee performance, those kinds of things. And then, or serving as an HR point of contact for staff and stakeholders. For the SHRM Senior CP, it really is designed for somebody who's looking to move to the strategic level. And that work includes things like developing policies, overseeing the execution of an HR team, developing an HR enterprise, or leading the alignment of HR strategies towards organizational goals. So it's really that larger thinking, that forward-thinking role is what that senior certified professional is focused on. And in that one, like I said, you have to be able to demonstrate that you've had at least 1,000 hours per calendar year of strategic HR-related work. So that can be part-time or full-time. It can be consulting. It can be hourly. It can be salaried, all of those things, but it really needs to be focused around that strategic work, developing policies, developing strategies, developing organizational structure, those kinds of things. We always encourage everyone to confirm their eligibility for the SHRM certification before they register. There's a link here where you can do that. It's on the SHRM certification. What the U of A offers is the course to prepare for that certification. That fee does not cover the cost of the certification exam itself. And you register and pay for that through SHRM. So why would you choose to do this with the U of A as opposed to purchasing just a self-paced program? So the model that we use here at the U of A is that you actually get you get everything you get in a self-study course plus that structured learning environment. So you're getting access to the same body of knowledge and the same online learning system, but you are also getting that structured learning environment where you have live class sessions led by experienced SHRM certified instructors. They're working through case studies with you. They're talking about real life examples of what's happened. You're getting also to interact with your peers, so other people who are going through the course at the same time, so that you're really getting a broader set of ideas and experiences through that discussion. You also get, study and test taking tips that are provided throughout the course, and the opportunity to network with peers and form study groups. So nationally, the exam pass rates are higher for individuals that use an instructor-led course than they are for the self-study as well. So we have a class for that. You can either attend those sessions face-to-face or you can attend them through Zoom. And the sessions are also recorded, and those are available to anyone who can't attend a session, although we definitely do encourage folks to try to be there for the live sessions, because that's where you're going to get that interaction with your peers and your instructor. It includes, like I said, the SHRM learning system, which includes a physical book that will be mailed to your house, as well as access to the online system. So the certification exam there's 2 windows a year. You take it in the fall, or you take it in the winter or in the spring. If you take your course in the fall, then you're going to take your exam in the spring testing window. We really recommend that you take the exam in the testing window that opens the closest to when you finish your course. That's just true in general. You're always going to do best closer to when you took the course. So some ideas about how to fund your course. A lot of students receive funding through their employer. So the SHRM website offers a guide on how to approach your boss for support. A lot of employers offer some kinds of learning financial assistance. Maybe they have a tuition reimbursement plan that this program could be eligible for, or they may have other training dollars that they're willing to invest in your training and development so that they can improve the operations of their HR department. There are private educational loan providers as well. And then the other option is for you to invest in your own career and to fund that opportunity for you. So we really encourage folks to talk to their employers and find out if there are options. Often people don't know about all of the options available through their employer. And so really encourage people to start there as an avenue for funding. So what to expect in class? So the first thing you will receive if you sign up for the class are the textbooks and a course schedule. The textbooks will come in the mail, and the course schedule will come by email. And then at the first class you meet, like I said, there'll be a physical meeting available. So that class is really an introduction and an overview. You go over how to use the learning system and the online access, as well as getting into the beginning of the material for the course. You're going to cover throughout the course the SHRM competencies and the body of skills and knowledge, leadership, interpersonal, and business. So you're going to cover all of those competencies throughout the weeks of the course. You do take a pre-assessment so that you understand kind of where you might need to focus on and where you already have those competencies. So that's one of the advantages of a competency-based approach, is that you take that pre-assessment and it tells you, hey, you already know these things, so let's focus on these other competencies. There will be a weekly reading assignment, and we recommend that students plan to spend approximately 5 hours a week outside of the class reading and preparing, so that when you're done, you really are ready to kind of go forward and take the exam. At the last class, there's a comprehensive review and a post-assessment, and then you move on to taking your certification exam. So some tips for success that we have as you're getting ready to take the course, particularly if you're going to come to the physical meetings, getting yourself together, getting your back to school energy together, getting all of your supplies together, making sure that you have, what you need to be comfortable in the classroom. Then keeping up with the reading is really one of the most important tips for success. So like we said, it's about 5 hours of reading a week to keep up with the pace of the course as you go along. So making sure that you put that time aside to get in, use the learning system, take the quizzes, do the reading. So managing and scheduling that time is really an important piece. And focusing on the case studies, because that's where you're going to learn the most about the practical application of the work. And then coming to the class. So when you're choosing an instructor-led model, you choose that because of the advantages of class. So making it a priority whenever possible to be present in the class, whether electronically or physically, is important. Taking notes, however works for you. I'm an old-fashioned, I like to write things down. Typing doesn't work very well for me in taking notes. So I always make sure that I have that tablet and something to write on. Participate, engage, ask questions, actively engage with your fellow students, and then forming study groups to help you between when class ends and when the exam window opens can be a really great way to improve your overall performance. So that's the end of our slides today. I'm happy to take questions. I know that Jeff has put some of the links in the chat for you, and so you have access to those different pieces. But we are always available at training.uark.edu or training@uark.edu is our email.
Could you kind of break down maybe what the 1,000 hours are that they have to demonstrate, how they would demonstrate those 1,000 hours?
This is for the Senior Certified Professional. So you have to have had 3 years with the Certified Professional level first, and then you need to be able to demonstrate at least 1,000 hours per calendar year of strategic work. So thinking about what strategic work might be, developing new policies for your HR, revising your old policies, working on a succession planning kinds of things where you're working with different employees or different groups of employees to say, what does it take to have somebody start in this role well? What do we need to be planning for? How are we developing progressive skills so that people can move up? So work where you're really engaging in that process of how do we build our workforce? How do we know when somebody is ready to take on the next level? Maybe you're doing some leadership development or supervisor training, things like that have to do with, again, that more forward thinking kinds of work. And then demonstrating that, I think, can come in a wide variety of ways. And that can go to SHRM for them to sign off on. But usually it has to do with like you writing up a statement and then getting that verified by somebody in your organization that says, yes, this person worked on these things and this equated to 1,000 hours of work.
Thank you. We also had a question about the hybrid and in-person classes. Like, can they sometimes go to class and then be hybrid? And could you talk a little bit more about that?
You'll be able to hear and participate in discussion and engage. If you prefer to come to class, you can do that. And then you'll be able to participate in both environments. You can choose week to week which one you prefer. Maybe you're like, oh, this topic that we're going to talk about this week, this is one where I really feel like I need extra support. And you choose to go just that one time. Or maybe you just really prefer to be in the room and to have that experience. You have that option too.